host, CEO of Market Snacks. A lot of titles there.
Yeah.
Always good to see you, Nikki. Thanks a lot for joining us. I guess the first question, despite the president's critical tweet about Amazon, its stock rose more than 1% after taking an early dip. What does this say about investors' thoughts and confidence in the company?
Well, I think it's more confidence in the overall tech sector because the entire tech industry has been hit the last few weeks, going back to when I was here last time because Kylie Jenner made Snapchat stock go all the way down. So this has been kind of rolling along. You had Facebook last week. A lot of this is now just priced into the stock. So investors have already expected a fall down in tech, and it can't go much further than that.
Yeah, you guys have been pretty busy this week.
Yeah.
Tech stocks also traded higher Thursday following days of downhill movement in the wake of the Facebook Cambridge Analytica scandal. What is driving these stocks down, and how are they affecting the market overall?
Well, first of all, just to focus on Amazon, this one's kind of fascinated us for a few reasons. So first of all, there's this really personal element to it. Trump's really connected to commercial real estate and retailers, and those are like the #1 industries getting hit by Amazon right now. The second reason is he's pushing a government side focus, which is that Amazon, he claims, has been hurting the U.S. Postal Service. If you look at the data, it looks more like Amazon and us just buying everything online these days is actually helping them, but it's one perspective he's taken. And then the third one is kind of this almost awkward personal situation where Jeff Bezos, CEO of Amazon, bought the Washington Post a few years ago for $250 million. He's the head of it. He's not involved in any of the editorial or news elements of the Washington Post. But obviously, Trump doesn't like the fact that the Washington Post has called him out on a lot of issues in the administration.
I was about to say, is it safe to say that Trump is basically going after Bezos and his company, or is it about Amazon?
We went through the Twitter feed, and, you know, Trump's called out Amazon like 12 times in the last few years. And if you think about it, Bezos has only pointed out one issue with Trump. He made a joke before the campaign began that he was going to send Trump up into space in one of his rockets, but that's kind of the last we've heard from Bezos on Trump.
I think that was enough.
Yeah.
I think that was enough. Fighting words, as we like to say. As we just mentioned, tech stocks rose Thursday. Are investors buying the dip?
So it's been going down so long for tech that when you see a general trend like this of buying it, it's probably buying the sector. But let's look at what's actually happening with individual tech stocks, because you do have some individual good news. So if we look at Netflix, for example, they added Susan Rice, who's a former Obama official, and that was a great addition to their board because her background is focused on basically international and diplomacy, which are two big areas for Netflix as they try to expand abroad and they get their content abroad. Remember, Netflix has to know the local markets, and a lot of these markets you have to have a certain amount of local content. So having someone on their team with like a resume like Rice's, that's great. So that really helps Netflix.
All right, let's go and talk about the CEO, of course, of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. He's expected to testify to Congress next month, and he got a chance to speak with CNN and told them that he's open to government regulation. Does the fear of any regulation sort of play into this movement that we're seeing here?
Oh, absolutely, because whatever happens with Facebook, it's regulation that's going to affect Twitter, it's regulation that's going to affect Snap. It could even go as far as to represent or affect companies that we're not even considering just in the tech space. Because if you look at it, you know, the Greek yogurt I had this morning, for example, the milk in it was more regulated than what I'm posting on Facebook. It's amazing that Facebook's gotten away so long without being seen truly as a media company and not regulated in the same way. So that's going to be the core focus, is in, we know regulation's probably going to be coming. But to go back to Amazon quickly, that's why there have been all these rumors about Amazon putting its second headquarters potentially in the Washington, D.C. area. They want to have those lobbying efforts because across the tech industry, there's likely going to be some kind of big move by the government.
All right, and I guess the final question for you. Facebook announced changes Wednesday to its privacy settings. Some people are buying it. Some people are like, want to just see what's going to happen with it. Do investors think this is enough for consumers to sort of regain confidence in the company now?
No, and you know, at Market Snacks, we've connected with people who we know at Facebook, and the sense we've gotten is that a lot of this was not fully expected, so it's been rushed out in the last week. It's been a really awkward week for Facebook, partly because they didn't have a crisis plan in place. That's why we saw such a delay from Mark Zuckerberg, and it's why we didn't really hear...
Is that such a thing for a company not to have a crisis plan in place? You think they'd have it, right?
You think they would, but remember, Facebook's a company that, you know, their mission and what goes back to their core is move fast and break things, and that's what's gotten them to where they are now. And when you're moving fast and you're breaking things, you probably don't have a contingency plan in the same way.
And you can make mistakes along the way.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Nick Martell with Market Snacks. Thanks a lot for joining us, man.
Great to be here.
All right.